Hello everyone and welcome to a new video in our Python series. Hope you're doing well. In today's video we're going to be introducing lists, and specifically we're going to be introducing operations on lists, and we're going to be including other parts of introduction to lists. So this is the first part of it, so let's jump right into it. As any good programming practice, we comment out our naming, we include them. One of the simple ways. We also importantly include the date. Date is important because it's like, you're keeping a record of something. So that's why you include that. And the purpose to this time. So we're just gonna say operations in lists, or you could just using operations. Okay. So very first of all, what is a list? So a list is basically just simply put square brackets. That's it. This is an empty list though, but this is a list. So for us to append and all of that, we're gonna do it in other videos. So for now, this is basically just a list. How can you include other things? Well, simply, let's just do another list. Let's call it list 2. Let's say, so list 2 is just basically being assigned to an empty list, being assigned to a list. So let's say we wanna include the amount of whales in a certain place, okay? And in a span of 2 weeks. And obviously the best choice in this would actually be to use a list, and not append, or not appended, but assign it to a variable each time we're getting a different number, right? So we're starting off with a 5, 4, a 7, 3, 2, 3, 2, then 6, 4, 2, 1, 7, 1, then at the very end 3. So realize this, or actually understand this. So this is an entity on its own, this is an entity on its own. How is it actually being divided? It's being divided by a comma. That's just the syntax in Python. So let's understand something very important. Lists are basically into 2 different categories. It's either homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homo basically means one type. What do we mean by one type? So as you can see, this is literally one type. What type is it? This is type integer. How do you know that? Let's suppose we say that an x is equal to 1, and we print, but we're using the type operation on the variable, and as you can see, it just gives you class integer. Let's play a bit with it, right? Let's say it's a 1.2. What type is it gonna give us? Class float, type float. Let's say it's a string. A string could literally be anything, and sometimes you want to break the stigma when people tell you that's a 3. Well, whatever is in between quotations, that's a string, regardless if it has the character of a number or what. This is literally just a string, just to break like the misconception in the beginning of when programmers would be introduced to such concepts. So this is just a string, str. Right, so let's just comment this out. And let's suppose that we put list here. Yeah, list 2 basically. Well, list, well, whatever. Both of them would give you a list. And just tell you, class list. Okay. So, how does this actually help us in the following concept? Heterogeneous. So, let's suppose in list 3, we basically just say, we want to include the periodic table. So, we want to include the string of, like, we want to include, the symbol of, noble gases. So let's just start maybe with neon. Then we want to write the name itself, and then we want to write how many electrons are there. So I'm using this periodic table. It actually helps. This is not computer science or anything related to such, but this used to help me a lot in chemistry for anyone who actually wants to use that. I'll link it down in the description. So this is neon. This is atomic number. It's 10. And this is the atomic weight. So this is very much perfect for our example. That's a 10, and that's a 20.18. Okay. Let's include another thing. Let's include another list, and let's call it let's basically just say that it's a list for the number of electrons and protons. Well, that's obviously the opposite, but yes. So this is a heterogeneous. You literally have all types possible. You literally have a string, another string, an integer, a float, and a list. We call this a nested list because it's a list inside of a list. So it's a nested list, if anyone's wondering. So this is, again, to clarify it, a homogeneous. Now you're probably thinking, is a homogeneous only integers? No, we could make this floats. We could literally just go 5.2 and a 4.1 and so on. We could make this completely a string. And as I said it here, a string could actually just be any character between quotation marks, and that's a string. But it just basically what we're saying is at the same time we could have a list made of just lists. Okay, so let's comment out this for now. Where does the operations come in? So let's suppose we want to know the length of the list. Now, the thing is, you can assign it in this case, and you can just print the x. Well, that's another x, but yes, we could just print it. And you basically printed x. Now, this doesn't always work. So, let's say, what I mean by that, you cannot always assign when you're using an operation in a list to a variable. And we're coming up to it. Let's say that you want to find the minimum times we've spotted whales. This was the whales example, so the times we spotted a whale, like the minimum 1, then max times we've spotted the whales 7, and the sum of all whales spotted into 2 weeks is 50. So we've seen 50 whales in 2 weeks. Let's say we want to sort the list. We call it basically sorted. Now we try to assign it, and there you go. It goes from basically ascending order. Like it goes from ascending order as it goes from the least to greatest, regardless. But this order we did basically depending on the day. So in day 1 we saw 5 whales, in day 2 we saw 4 whales, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's say that we have another list. If we're gonna make it homogeneous though, because operations on lists, they basically work on homogeneous. Heterogeneous are a bit harder to actually work with. I mean, you can't get the max, you can't get the min, like based on what are you going to be getting them. So this one we're just gonna make it like purely strings, and we're gonna, just make it a bit different. We're gonna basically include symbols, we're gonna include numbers, and the reason I'm doing that is because you think that this is maybe not a string, but it is. Or you think, well, the thing is you're going to be thinking, oh, how is this actually working? Well, yes, we're just going to introduce that right in a second. Let's include something else. Let's also include a space. So let's just call it a Z this time. And we're just saying that we wanna sort it. You're probably thinking, wait, how can I sort that? So it is sorted by something called ASCII. What is ASCII? It's the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Basically, all of these have a certain number. So look at this. The $sign has a 36. So basically we're looking at this column, the decimal column, right? $sign has a 36. The percent sign has a 37, right? Our space that we put right there has a 32. Then we have basically everything you can think of. Asterisk, plus, a comma, hyphen, and then slash and divide. Then there's the numbers. We had a 4, the 52. And then we had, I'll also include this website that I'm using in the description. Okay, so we have a difference. You'd be thinking, oh, you wrote S twice. You just wrote it in capital case and in small case. Yes, it makes a difference. See, we have uppercase A is 65, and the small case A is a 97. You're just going to see it in a minute. So that was the S in 83, the uppercase S. Lowercase s is just right here, and it's 150. So we could almost have an idea when we sort this list out how it's actually going to look like. Yeah, pretty interesting actually. Thinking, wait, we're actually sorting it out, and we're sorting out with a different system. Usually it's not that hard to realize the system. Like if you just memorized literally like simple things, like uppercase A is a 65 and then lowercase a is a 97. The difference between these won't change, so they're gonna stay like kind of the same. Well, so that means that if you want to know what's B, so if you go like 97 minus 65, that's a 32. So you could just add a 32 each time. Lowercase l, see, that's a 76, right? Add a 32 to it, and there you go. Wait, where's l? 108. That's it. Like the difference is the same. Usually space would be important, and yeah, and then just that. As you can see, the space and the and then the for, and then the greater than, smaller than, and then the s and the s. Okay, can we get the minimum of it? Yes, we can. what is it gonna be? It's gonna be the empty space, as that's, well, the empty space basically called white space. And this is exactly why it's not shown, because it's literally just a space, so it left it empty. Let's actually, okay, so the max, as you might have guessed it, would be the lowercase s, right? Can we get the sum out of it? Well, no, but I'm showing it anyway. Why not? Because sum needs integers, and all of this are just strings. See? Unsupported operand for plus integer and a string. It's basically what you're trying to do with the sum, is you're literally trying to concatenate them instead of summing them up. Sorry for that. So we're trying to concatenate them instead of summing them up, and that's why it actually doesn't work. We still have one more operation. What is that? So basically, remember last time I was using the range function? So let's say I have a list 5. Well, we just assign it as a list. Now we say list, and we just say range, and we could just do it in the negative, like, well, we could do it, yeah, we could just go as a 10, and then we're ending at a -1, as last video when we said the 0 is a -1, and then we're just going back by a -1 too, actually. Let's just, and then that's just a list, and let's print out the list 5. Okay, let's just change that. Let's just make it a sorted, and well, you literally have the range. So the range function is basically not only useful for, and basically you can make things as a list. It's also not only for a range. Well, that's it for today, guys. Hope you have enjoyed it. So please let us know in the comments what you want to see more, and just thank you guys for watching.